Right, I'm live. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to do the usual, guys. Anyone? Oh, Woody Black. Hello, user one. Hello, Woody Black. I'll be with you in a sec. Right, and now I'm going to share alike. So, Bookface. I'll just share that around the groups actually. All my usual groups I'll use. I'm thinking of doing a portal about climate change, you know. A basis project. Third rail radio. And now Twitter. I'll put a hashtag COP26 on it. Oh, it's trending. Oh, cool. They won't like mine, I'll tell you. There we are. That's 2 hashtags on it. Hello, everyone. Greetings. I'll do what Tina taught me how to do. There we go. I still haven't got those reading glasses. Hello, user 1. Hello, Woody Black. Hello, Simon Tucker. Hello, Tina. Hello, Ian Gosling. Go, Greta, go and never come back. How dare you? Hi, Glowtone. Hi, Michelle Sovereign. Hello, Luke Griffin. Hi, B. Interview Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. Which Brandon do you mean? Brandon, not Brandon Corey. David Schultz. Greetings. Coming in loud and clear, strong in Maine, USA. I'm glad to hear it, David. Brandon, who's it? Which one do you mean, Tina? Okay, guys. Thanks for joining me this evening. It's really, really great. Della. Hey, Della Farrens. Hello, Della. How are you? How you getting on? Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the show last night. It was a Halloween special. Of course, there'll be another Halloween special. Mad Day, the Highgate Vampire. Oh, yeah, is it today? I thought it was coming out on Halloween. Oh, Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Still waiting for Ben. Oh, right. For Ben Whisper to come out. Okay, Lisa. Lisa's going to have to leave for another live stream, but thanks for joining me, Lisa. Obviously, you know, this will be the recording will be available for you. My eyes are itching. Oh, God. But hey, Della, I'll have to. Yes, Lisa, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, isn't it? You believe it or not, they've actually the old Git himself is trying to suppress the whole "Let's Go, Brandon" meme. Did you see Sargon of Akkad's video about that? Hey, Della, I didn't know the Highgate Vampire thing. I thought it was coming out on Halloween, but how do you watch it? Do you have to go to what platform is it on? Can I get it on Amazon or Netflix or where can I get it? Hello, John K. How are you? Iron Man Spartan, what's your favourite tipple? Well, this time of year, well, I have some mead. I'm going to do a Halloween party tomorrow night, and my daughter's got some mead in, which is traditional. Hello, Ralph Winter. So I'll be drinking that. Normally, I just have wine or something. Evening, Ben. Evening, Ralph. How you doing? Delafant, it's out. It's all a bizarre. It's in all this bizarre glory. Shame about the Scooby-Doo Ghostbusters. Is it taking the mickey, Della? I'll have to watch it sometime. Della Farrant, night vision cameras and screaming and swearing. But that's enough about Matthew Williams' live streams. What about this particular documentary? Let us know where you can see it, Della. Oh, Discovery Plus streaming service. All right, you are. I'll check it out. It's probably one of these ones you have to pay for, but you know, these things always sort of, how do I put it, proliferate, don't they? Tina, the clocks go back this weekend. Yes, thanks for reminding me. I actually did put that on my notice. I realised because I'm advertising two live streams this week. The first one British Summertime, the second GMT. That's it. Hello, Johnny. Jobby Dodger, how do you do? Della says, isn't taking the mickey as such. There's a lot of irrelevant stuff in there, and they claim David is haunting the cemetery, which he's not. Oh, God. Hey, Della, they'll say anything for clicks, though, won't they? I mean, I bet you they've got lots of ads in them. Hi, Bernie Tucker, how do you do? Oh, that's it. The Let's Go Brandon thing was very funny because there was a sporting event and everyone was shouting, hello, Ferdinand Golia, how do you do? Everyone in the audience was shouting, fuck Joe Biden. And it was so loud they could pick up on the microphone, but the reporter had to pretend they're saying, let's go Brandon. And luckily, the guy she was interviewing, I think he's a baseball star, happened to be called Brandon. And so now loads and loads of people have been saying, let's go Brandon, when they actually mean the former with, oh, that'll get Biden, yeah. Hello, Benson Fables, how do you do? Nihilis Elijah Matters, greetings. I like Jaffa cakes too. Okay, guys, so what's going on? Well, there's 2 live streams this weekend. This is the first of 2. And I'm going to be discussing what's starting on Halloween in Glasgow. Very, very spooky. What's starting on Halloween in Glasgow, apart from Kev Baker's overnight vigil in some haunted house? I don't know. Well, there's also COP26. And COP stands for Council of Parties. Yes, indeed. Let me get my notes here. This is the 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference. The Council of Parties is like a UN thing. It's going to run from Halloween till the 12th of November. Please, bloody heck. It's almost 2 weeks. And it's the 26th Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It's the 3rd meeting of the parties to the Paris Agreement. That's right. You know, it's been going through it's been going on a long time, this. So, for example, the first one was in 1995, which was COP1 in Berlin. It was Berlin, Germany, then Geneva, Switzerland, then 1997, COP3, Kyoto, Japan. That was a very important one because they got the Kyoto Protocol, which is basically an international agreement to limit carbon emissions, or what they're actually called is carbon. It's actually carbon dioxide, not carbon. Carbon is a solid. It's the black stuff. Whenever you burn something and it turns black, that's carbon. If you burn your toast, it turns black, doesn't it? That's carbon. But they've been using the word carbon when they actually mean carbon dioxide, which is a colourless, odourless gas, similar to my farts. And it's it's actually a normal part of the Earth's atmosphere. I mean, I don't have to repeat myself, do I? My idea about climate change is unconventional, shall we say. I'm just going to double check I've got record going, because this is the kind of thing that the algorithms don't like, actually. It runs scientific. My view on climate change runs contrary to the scientific consensus. And there's been 25 COPs since then. Buenos Aires, Argentina, Bonn, Germany, The Hague, Netherlands, Bonn, Germany again, poor old Bonn, Marrakesh, Morocco, New Delhi, India, Milan, Italy, Buenos Aires, Argentina again, Montreal, Canada, Nairobi, Kenya, Bali, Indonesia, Poznan, Poland, Copenhagen, Denmark, Cancun, Mexico, Durban, South Africa, Doha, Qatar, Warsaw, Poland, Lima, Peru, Paris, France. That's the 2015 one, COP21. And there's a links in the description box, because my Happy Christmas video was a very interesting one, because this is very important, actually. This was just during the time of COP21 in Paris, when they agreed on the Paris Climate Accord. And I was walking around, and the temperature was 23 degrees in December. This was like just before Christmas. It was 23 degrees centigrade in Oxford, and I saw snowdrops appearing because the poor snowdrops thought it was spring. And this was explained as changes in wind pattern that brought equatorial wind to up north, further north than it should have. Yeah, and I'm very surprised actually there wasn't major storms over the last couple of days because, or something similar. If it had been later in the year, then it'd be more warm weather. At this time of year, so not unseasonably warm winter weather. At this time of year, it's likely to be wind and rain. And we've had a bit of, I mean, the north, they've had flood warnings, actually, in Scotland. So maybe that's it. Maybe the floods they've had in Scotland are it. Now, you might say, what are you talking about, Ben? It's the weather. No one can control the weather, can't they? Can't they? I suggest you there's several resources you can look at about weather. There's so much you can say about weather. There's Angels Don't Play This Harp by Nick Begich. There's an interesting thing to watch actually is Eyes in the Skies. Now this is from I think 1959. It's a Disney short, which it's partly animated, partly live action, but it predicts a lot of the future that we're talking about. For example, satellite's doing weather forecast. Let me just try and find it. Hang on a sec. Here we are, Disney. Let's just see if it's there. This is it. Have a look at this, you won't believe it. Let's find a good bit here.
The weather.
It's
oldest and mightiest.
It's only 26 minutes long. It's called Walt Disney Cold War Weather Control Film, Eyes in Outer Space. This is from 1959.
Adversaries.
Let me just find the interesting bit. There's a bit of kind of... Oh, it's bloody ads. Fucking ads. Hang on. It's a skip button. There's a very interesting site. It's because this is futuristic. There's like a science fiction bit here. Where is it? Here we go.
Will build up along the coast, forming a barrier that will turn the hurricane out to sea.
Do you hear that bit? That just...
Stand by. Now pulling in satellite number 1 for visual check of low-pressure systems L20 and L21.
Can you all see that?
The operator brings the satellite into focus on the two storms. One centered over Kansas, the other over Labrador.
Changing the northeastern low, L21.
With the touch of a button, the battle begins. On the ground, chemical cloud seeders begin to work the two storm areas.
Chemical cloud seeders.
Robot planes seed the clouds from above.
Is Jamnoy 72 there? Oh, well, I don't
The storm centers over Kansas and over Labrador intensify as seeding continues.
Now changing over to Hurricane Center H8.
The fury of the hurricane mounts as 100-mile-an-hour winds lash the sea to a foaming frenzy.
All stations, sectors...
All right, you've seen enough there, I think. Hang on. It's 26 minutes long. It's worth watching the whole thing. It was by Disney, made in 1959. What you're seeing now is a reconstruction of a possible future weather control centre, where they actually can use, as I say, cloud seeding and other techniques. They also mention rockets and ground-based cloud seeding, things like that, to change the course of a hurricane. So if a hurricane's approaching the coast, in this case the eastern seaboard of the United States, they can use these techniques to turn it away. So it turns away from the coast and out to sea, just so it will blow itself out at sea, rather than hitting the coastline and causing the terrible destruction you've seen with things such as Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Andrew, where billions of dollars of damage was done and thousands of people were killed. And of course, if you can maneuver a hurricane away from your coastline, your own coastline, you could maneuver it towards somebody else's using exactly the same method, and you have a terrible weapon of war. I don't have time to go into this in more detail, but I just want to say hello to these people who just joined while you were showing you that. Hello to we have here John Nolan, Ferdinand got it. George McKinley, greetings. Am I going to Glasgow, George? What am I going to do? Go there and wave my placard saying stop world government now? Yeah, Charles says, all absolute rubbish. What did I miss? You're probably getting pissed with Steve mumbling. That's probably what you were doing. That's why you're talking like that. Ian Gosling says, no need to create conspiracies. The natural climate change over time and the enemy will lie whichever. Yeah, exactly. They'll find some way to put it into their agenda. Jobby Dodgy. Remember Ming the Merciless and his weather control? That was the movie of Flash Gordon. Yes, that was good. That was. It was very well. It was a bit it was a bit campy, but it was really funny. It was kind of unintentional comedy, I think, But yeah. Charles says, drop it on France. Oh, that's mean, honestly. Onslow, greetings. Lime Specs, hello. Number one fan, hi Ben. How you doing, number one fan? Nihilist Lives Matter says, sends one to a Caribbean island and calls a migrant. Oh, God, for some reason that's been. I better not publish that. But thing is, they've been doing. Nihilist, haven't they just done that with Haiti? I talked about that on a previous live stream, I think. Ferdinand Goslier. You will pay the carbon tax from the comfort of your pod while you enjoy your insect protein paste. Yes. Oh, goodness me. Can you believe it? John Owen, have a look at the ghost grandma video on YouTube. It's creepy. Is that the slapped ham or the darkest secret? Charles says, Glasgow has enough problems without Ben annoying Biden over there. Oh, yeah. I mean, George, I'm tempted to go along just to shout, let's go Brandon at him, I'm tempted. Biden's alive? Apparently, at the moment, I mean, barely, by the look of him. You should have seen him at this press conference the other day. He's sitting there, oh, Jen, help me, Jen. Jobby says, protein paste is like Marmite. No, I don't think so. God bloody. Ugh. Yeah, this is that's old. This. What I'm saying is, basically, Line Specs. This camera, I've been using it for a couple of weeks now. It's a new one, which is a bit better than the old one. Although I've got to be careful. I want to make sure I always use this microphone. You've got to be careful with that. Now, the thing about this, what's obvious here is that the whole climate change thing, the whole subject, it's quite new, actually, believe it or not. It only really dates back to the late 70s. And before that, people were talking about global cooling and the fear of ice ages. I remember being a little kid in a museum when I went to, was it the Science Museum? I think it might have been the London Science Museum. And they were saying, oh, we could get ice ages, or will the increasing greenhouse gases in the atmosphere warm the planet? They just didn't know which way it was going. You see, climate fluctuates. It fluctuates naturally. What's happened is they've got this idea that human industry and human civilization is changing the Earth's atmosphere. That's going to make the Earth much hotter. If you make the Earth much hotter, polar ice caps are going to shrink, the sea level's going to rise, and all areas around the coastline will be flooded. And there's all kinds of other problems to do with extreme wind and rain and things like that, extreme hot temperatures, dryness, which will affect farming. There's all kinds of things they talk about with climate change. Now, I can't say for sure that's not going to happen. I can't say for sure that particular scenario will not happen in the near future because, see, climate does change. It fluctuates enormously, and it has been fluctuating. We know from climate records it's fluctuated enormously in the last couple of thousand years, because we know from studying tree rings and things like that. There's been accurate, continuous weather monitoring since the early 19th century, and we know that it changes enormously. The question is it changing because of our activity? Or is that just an excuse the government are using to put together these conferences? What do these conferences do? Well, what was the Paris Accord all about? The Paris Accord of 2015, the 2015 Paris Agreement. Let's just see what it said. The Paris Agreement, also called the Accord de Paris, the Paris Accord, an international treaty on climate change. It was open for signature on the 22nd of April 2016, Earth Day, at a ceremony in New York, after the European Union ratified the agreement. Where else? That was just before we got out the bloody thing. The agreement responsible enough for the world's greenhouse gases. Now, greenhouse gases includes, the main one is carbon dioxide. The Paris Agreement's long-term temperature goal, it's a temperature goal, not a specific industrial regulation. That's very important, because the Kyoto Protocol was all about industrial regulation of emissions. This is about actually regulating the temperature, and by any means necessary to regulate that temperature. And you look at the map here, there's a map of the world. Literally every nation on Earth bloody signed it. Oh, good grief. It's unbelievable. I mean, there's literally nowhere on this map where it doesn't apply. There's the actual European Union, and then there's the only countries that were not part of this agreement were the signatories, and these are Libya, Eritrea, Yemen, Iran, and Iraq, and they signed it even though they weren't part of the Council of Parties. The Paris Agreement's long, so this is literally a global decision of every. There's not a single nation on Earth that rebelled against this. The Paris Agreement's long-term temperature goal is to keep the rise in mean global temperatures well below 2 degrees centigrade, above pre-industrial levels. This is a catchphrase that comes up again and again and again. Pre-industrial levels. Preferably limit the increase to 1.5 degrees centigrade. When are they talking about the pre-industrial levels? When in pre-industrial times? Because pre-industrial times basically is the entire history of the Earth before about 1820. Pre-industrial times includes the medieval warm period, when the temperature was, I think it wasn't just 2 degrees. I think it was 3.5 degrees or so above the current average. Now, this was in pre-industrial times, and it was above the temperature we have now. And you know what? The ice caps actually didn't melt. I mean, some of them, they might have melted a bit, but they didn't raise the sea levels significantly. The polar bears didn't die out. Do you remember seeing? Do you know these pictures you see of a poor little polar bear clinging to a melting ice floe? Have you seen those pictures? They're everywhere. They're all over the place. They're propaganda. Because you think, oh, the poor polar bear's going to drown, this sweet little cute polar bears. Well, firstly, polar bears may look cute. They're not, actually. They're very dangerous. They'll have you for dinner at the moment they look at you. But the point is that they are lovely little creatures. I wouldn't want to see them, even though they are very dangerous, I wouldn't want to see them die out. The thing is, they're not going to, because they can swim. Polar bears are very, very good swimmers. It's on the ice floe, but it's not going to die. They'll probably get off the... They can swim, for goodness sake. They're very good swimmers. Oh, anyway. Also, I mean, you do get... There was some ice melting. For example, Admiral Zheng Hu, this explorer from China, he took his ship... I think it was in the 9th... I think it was the 9th century. Long time ago, over 1,000 years ago. He went on an expedition with his ship... north into the Bering Straits, and the sea was not covered with ice. And in today, at that time of year when he went, the sea is covered with ice. So it's true in the ninth. At least we know during the medieval warm period, around about the year 900, there was indeed a shrinkage of the polar ice caps, according as Admiral Zheng Hu discovered. But the ice caps didn't completely disappear, and the polar bears were absolutely fine. They survived. And you go back further, obviously, like there may well have been cold period times. There was a cold after the medieval warm period was followed by a very cold couple of centuries known as the mini ice age. This was followed the Maunder minimum, which was there may be a connection with activity in the sun, which causes these climate fluctuations, which should concern us actually, because there's recently been another very deep solar minimum, and if that is caused, we'll soon find out, but that can actually cause a significant drop in global temperatures, which would also be extremely worrying, because I think it would probably a drop in global temperature actually would cause more damage than a rise in terms of human civilization, because it would affect farming. It would mean that the growing season would be shorter, there'd be frost to worry about and things like this, snow cover, stuff like that. But there was the mini ice age, which we came out of that round about the time of the Industrial Revolution. But if you go back further, I mean, what was you see, accurate climate records, accurate weather measurements were not kept at that time. But we know, for example, that in Roman times it must have been quite warm here in Britain, because there were vineyards. There were vineyards during the medieval warm periods, but they were 1,000 years earlier during the Roman period. Right up to Hadrian's Wall, they were vineyards. Now, wine needs warm temperatures. Grapes need warm temperatures to grow. Try setting up a vineyard in Northumberland today. Just imagine that. Geordie wine. Couldn't you imagine Geordie wine? Aye, that's got a good bouquet, that one, buddy lad. No, you would never get it. It wouldn't work. You couldn't grow grapes to that level on an industrial level in Northumberland today. But the Romans were doing it 2,000 years ago. So I believe that this basically is a conspiracy. Yes, it's a conspiracy by the Illuminati and all their evil works to get more money out of us and control our lives and our countries and our industries more and more and more. And essentially this is the ultimate in what David Icke calls problem, reaction, solution. Because he always said if the government want to do something, they don't just say we're going to do it, because then people won't like it. They have to sell it to us they have to package it to us as something, either something really, really good that we'll like, or an inevitable necessity to alleviate some problem. So, you could say, for example, supposing they want to raise taxes. They can't just come to us and say, guys, we need more money from you. I know we're taking enough already, but we need some more. They have to say, they have to even say, we have a wonderful new program we want to bring in, which is going to improve your lives enormously. And this is it, but it has to be funded, so we're going to raise taxes a little bit, but it's all for the good of everything. Or, alternatively, you could use the carrot or the stick, and the stick is, there's this terrible thing that's going to happen to us. It could be a whole list of things. It could be, you name it, bad guys in other countries. It could be some disease that needs to, well, that's not really hypothetical, is it? Or it could be, and it could be, in this case, it could be a problem of such purport that will destroy the world as we know it, unless we reach net zero. And net zero has to be reached by the middle of the 21st century. Well, what are we going to do? How are you going to do that? You can only do that by hyper-regulating the entire economy. So this is what they want to do. They want complete state control of the entire economy. And all our lives as well. They're even talking about individual carbon footprints and carbon credits and things like this. Carbon credits would replace all existing currencies, is the plan. It's the world currency. And we already have, like, continental currencies with the euro. There's the Amero as well, which I think they plan to bring United States, Canada and Mexico together. They've already effectively opened the border with Mexico, as if they're just saying this country doesn't exist anymore. But I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100% behind that. But, I mean, Biden is like 100 I mean, this... How do I put it? This completely legitimate government they have in the United States, which was elected fair and square without any electoral fraud, is basically the demolition crew. It's been brought in as the demolition crew, unless you put a stop to it. How are you guys getting on? I may not be able to get through all your comments. I'm sorry, there's just so many. Here we go. Charles says Glasgow. Yeah, Glasgow has enough problems. It doesn't it? Marky boy, I quite agree. You know, the whole C word thing is the whole C word thing is another example of this. Agenda 21, as Ian Gosling says. Yeah. Number one fan says everyone needs to buy a house on top of a hill. It's it's incredible that they're saying they're crashing the house prices in several coastal areas now. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the sea level fluctuates as well. I mean, that's inevitable, but it seems to have been fairly stable for a very long time. It doesn't seem to have fluctuated much during the Middle Ages, even though the temperatures were higher. The polar ice had shrunk. You know, it seems that didn't affect the sea levels that much. David Gregg, hello, how do you do? Charles from Project Camelot. Halloween fun fact. Did you know that Hammer Horror's head of wardrobe was called Brian Cox? I didn't know, Charles. I've been watching. I watched that. I've been watching a bit of the Hammer Horror lately. Yeah, it's after I talked about it on my video a little while ago. David Schultz says the USA did a lot of weather manipulation during the Vietnam War to flush out the supply lines. Correct. Project Popeye. Project Popeye involved cloud seeding with they used silver iodide on clouds to increase the Asian monsoon. Because at that time, they were a bit stumped over what to do in the Vietnam War because there was the Vietnam was split. There was a communist north, capitalist south, which was US was backing up, which is the whole purpose of that war. Yet they had a guerrilla force in the south, the Viet Cong, which was being supplied from the north by supply lines, but it wasn't on a train or a bus. It wasn't on trains or cars or anything like that. It was on bicycles. People were literally putting supplies in the panniers of their bicycles, and they were riding bikes all that way through the woods and along the little pathways to get to the south. And you know what? There's not a lot you can do about that using conventional warfare, because as soon as they planes start approaching, they just simply get off the road and hide in the bushes with their bikes. And so the Americans are saying, what can we do? How can we stop these things? Well, how can we stop this, what they call the Ho Chi Minh Trail? And the way they did it was they literally created massive rainstorms, which caused rivers to expand. Rivers overflowed. They washed away the pathways, which often ran along the side of rivers. They created huge floodplains. They destroyed bridges through floods. And the Ho Chi Minh Trail was cut off. Because bikes are very, very useful things, but they can't ride through water. Yeah, and you know what? Did you see my video where I went to Devon? I think it was the second video where I went to Devon. I actually went to that place, didn't I? What's it called? I went to that place, which I can't think of right now, where they actually did a... I hate it when I can't think of names and things. It was sky watching in Devon. Lynmouth. I've got an article here called the Lynmouth Flood. Yeah, just have a look at this. There we go. This is the Lynmouth disaster. I went to this place. Look what it was like. That was in 1951 when there was this terrible disaster. August 1952. Basically, a freak flash flood inundated the entire town. Now, the cause of it was very, very heavy rain on Exmoor, but the RAF were experimenting with cloud seeding above Exmoor at the time. This flood that came through was so powerful, it actually carried 10-ton rocks all the way down into the valley, where Lynmouth is in a tight, narrow valley, which makes it very vulnerable to flooding. The entire harbour was washed away. 34 people were killed, 500 made homeless. Some of the bodies were never discovered. They were just flushed out to sea. So obviously they kept the government kept quiet about it. If that's the case, they don't want to be faced with a massive lawsuit, so they've kept quiet about it. Charles, let's not forget the mini ice age. Exactly, yes. That's where they had the ice fairs on the River Thames. The River Thames in London, you could actually walk across it. Jobby Dodger says, the Thames froze in London. Yeah, and people used to skate on it, yeah. David Gregg, all fake, Ben. They have the cons lined up. Precisely. It is a massive... And then Brian Blessed arrived, so they all hid until he went home. He's a tough-looking guy, isn't he? Hello, Jock of Ages. How do you do? Steve Wills, greetings. Kevin Green. Polar bears are not just good swimmers. Up to 40 miles per day. They love swimming. Search polar bears swimming, yeah. Yeah, they do, exactly. Charles, so the mini ice age ended with the Industrial Revolution. Yes, but was it caused by the Industrial Revolution? Because I suspect it's not. Because you see, there was a pause. They're calling it a pause in climate change, which apparently lasted until maybe a couple of years ago, and then they reckon it's over. There was a 20-year pause, and now they're all predicting it's going to get much worse now, and it's going to get really, really terrible. I mean, if you've seen, whoops. Oh, someone said here you can't have zero carbon, David Gregg. No, you can't. You can't, because if you had zero carbon in the atmosphere, the Earth would die. Carbon dioxide, it's only 3. I think it's 3% of the air. What's the proportion of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? I want to get this right. CO2 in the percentage of CO2 in atmosphere. What is the percentage of CO2? 0.04%. It's a tiny amount. 0.04%. It's a minuscule amount, but it's essential for life. If you take it's a small amount, but it's essential for photosynthesis for plants. If you take that out, everyone dies. Everything dies. David Schultz, do you think that some of the recent volcanic activity is manipulative? David, we did a live stream on that actually, literally just a couple of weeks ago. And now Jamnoise72 has just done her own live stream on her channel about this, and she thinks they may plan some kind of. It could be some kind of tsunami. Now, I said at the time I didn't think it was likely that a tsunami would happen, and that's true. But in terms of it doesn't look like it's going to happen by natural causes. But what if it is made to happen somehow? Hello, David. Splendid isolation. Welsh Ripper says dogs are now giving off CO2. Everything gives off CO2 every time you breathe out. That's the whole point. There's a cycle in the atmosphere between oxygen and CO2, which involves animal respiration, and plant photosynthesis and plant respiration. Nihilist Lives Matter. Oh, God, miss me. I thought George W. was silly, but was daft. But Biden, like I say, doesn't know what day of the week it is. He should be in sheltered accommodation, driving a mobility scooter. You know. Charles says, "Relax, Ben. We have things called primaries." Oh, God. Well, Well, we'll see what happens in the upcoming elections. I'll be sure to cover them, you know. I'll be covering the one in France next year as well, because that's going to be very interesting. Was it Biden's birthday last week? Oh, happy birthday, Brandon. David Gregg. Yeah, people would laugh in your face 3 years ago if you said any of this could be done. Hello, Tessa1111. How are you? Tessa says, I love the Chinese men aged 20 to 60 who can't find wives or afford houses, starting their lying down campaign. What is that, Tessa? I don't know. So it's apparently, Charles says, earthquakes are in decline. Kevin Green says Lynmouth. That's the one, yeah. I couldn't think of the name. And Tessa says volcanoes cause cold spells. They do, actually. Volcanoes lower temperatures because they put particulates into the atmosphere. Yeah. Now, there's some interesting conversations going on in the chat box. Kevin Green says, if CO2 levels increase, plants will grow bigger and better. Yeah, apparently there is a natural regulation of CO2 levels. Now, CO2 levels do fluctuate as well. I've seen it happen. What's more, they fluctuate in response to increased temperature, not caused by it. That famous graph that Al Gore showed you on his famous, his what's it called, a convenient lie? That's what I call it anyway. His documentary, so-called, a convenient lie. That actually was that what he didn't show you, because he says, look, carbon dioxide increases, temperature increases. When carbon dioxide drops, the temperature drops. What he doesn't show you is the temperature is rising and dropping after the changes of CO2 levels, not before, which indicates the change of temperature is actually the cause of CO2 levels changing, not the effects. So, of course, people are saying, well, the CO2 levels are rising now. Of course they are. If it's getting warmer. The planet has warmed considerably since... Well, it warmed... The records sort of started noticing this in the early 20th century. There was a lot of warming between, I think, 1900 and 1940. In 1940, there was a drop in temperature to 1970, then it started going up again. It's been going up ever since, although it apparently paused for 20 years or so between 1980 and 2000. CO2 levels are going to rise because it's getting warmer. And as Nihilist Lives Matter points out, the air is essentially nitrogen in its largest proportion. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% for everything else. Yeah, it's almost all nitrogen and oxygen. Tessa says ultrasound used on earthquake zones. I think it would have to be a vibration. I mean, earthquakes can be caused. I mean, people speculated that earthquakes can be caused by certain things. I did say that I speculated that underground nuclear weapons in say La Palma could cause, if they were big enough bombs, they could do that. They cause a huge amount of vibration, you see. Like the underground nuclear tests they used to do near Area 51 cause huge vibrations. Earthquakes, they could be picked up on seismographs miles and miles away. Yeah. Hello, Diego Vera. Israel Diego Vera 2, Genius 2, the real genius. How do you do? Kevin says, Biden on a mobility scooter, Ben? Are you sure? I wouldn't trust him to sit the right way on a commode. Yeah. I think we could be thankful that the US president is not allowed to drive himself. He's literally not allowed to drive a car. He has to be driven by a chauffeur wherever he goes. Because I wouldn't want Biden on the roads, quite frankly. I really wouldn't. He'd be more dangerous than Prince Philip. He was dangerous enough, wasn't he? Diego Vera, Cumbre Viejo started on 9/11. Did it? Did it start, really? No, surely not, did it? Cumbria. Cumbria. Sounds a bit like Wales, doesn't it? Cumbria, like Cymru. Cymru Vieja. I know it's Spanish, not Welsh. But it's Cymru Vieja. It means old peak. Oh, right, I see, right. There we go. The latest eruption began on the 19th of September. Well, that's... Did something else happen a few days earlier, you know? I don't know. I mean, it does seem quite close to the time, doesn't it? And David Schultz says, yes, David Schultz, you've been following my space weather reports. There's been a lot of near misses of large asteroids lately. There's some massive ones coming up, actually. I cover it every week on the Banmo show. There's some absolute whoppers coming up over the next couple of months, I'll tell you. One of them is like more than 3,000 feet across. Oh, where are we now? Diego Ferris, CO2, what plant breathes? Yes, exactly. The medieval warm period. Yeah, hey Lisa, how you doing? How's it going? Oh, you're listening to two of us. Yes, I did say that we could get a big coronal mass ejection, yes. It could massively inflate the whole of Palma. From what I gather, you know, geomagnetic storms are supposed not to affect the seismic makeup of the Earth, but we'll see, won't we? And at least it would be a big coincidence on Halloween. Yeah, and that's the date. Halloween is also the date that COP26 starts. I mean, God knows what they're going to do. I mean, on Lisa's Cry Freedom show, she talked about the kind of things the Illuminati do on Halloween. You know, that like they do on all the... They use the sacred days for their evil purposes. I won't even describe what they get up to. But they do as much evil thing as they can on these sacred days. The solstices, the equinoxes, and these other sacred times of the year. Earthquake started 9/11, right? You are Diego Rivera. That says, hello, Armand. Neil Peel, good evening. How are you? And it's the end of British summertime tomorrow. Yes, also, yeah. I mean, it could be this weekend will be some big thing will happen. I mean, the way things are going, you know, some big event could happen almost at any time. I mean, I think this about all the good things and the bad things. It could be some massive false flag or something. It could happen literally almost at any time. You don't know. But as for the good things, such as Trump taking over or UFO disclosure or something, again, it's something that could literally happen at any moment. I think Richard Dolan is beginning to understand this now, that there doesn't have to be some kind of build-up to it. Everything is so chaotic at the moment that, and the effects of the various causes that are going round and round in some kind of great ball of uncertainty almost anything could emerge from the situation we have now. And it doesn't have to be something bad. It doesn't have to be some big takeover by the Illuminati. Jobby Dodger says a huge asteroid would be a great reset for rich and poor alike. Well, the rich have their bunkers, don't they, in Norway? But the rest of us will be out here to face the music. But you know, Carol Rosin said that Werner von Braun told her this, that the asteroids from space would be the second last card before the last one. The last one would be the alien invasion. Hey, Sonora's Astrid, how are you, darling? You okay? Thanks for joining us. Jog of Ages said, if La Palma slips, the tsunami will affect more than the US. Even the UK could be affected, Jock. Yeah, Jock, we did this on the last show. I mean, literally, the entire eastern seaboard of North America would be devastated. Really, from the coastline right for about 3 miles inland. As far as the British Isles go, we would face something similar to the Asian tsunami of 2006. They were waves of 20 feet high. Mike Lewis, 55. Hello. If the Straits of Hormuz were closed, we'd all be fooked. Well, that's where the oil comes from, isn't it? That's why that's why you always have the ships patrolling the area. The Royal Navy's been in that area. That's why Iran has been active there. It's one of the reasons that the world community, as they call it, is so concerned about Iran. Yeah. Because all the ships have to go, all the oil tankers have to go in and out of there to Saudi Arabia, to the UAE, these other countries, to get the oil. Seeing as we have a world dependent on oil, and they won't declassify free energy, not yet. There's no way the Illuminati would ever declassify free energy. They need us to be dependent on oil. Diego Rivera says, is the Alec Baldwin shooting connected to Trump? I don't know. I mean, I talked about this with Trevor on the third rail. It looks like some big cock-up because of there was a strike going on at the time, and they brought some people in who were basically scabs, according to their own, however they see it. I don't know what the rights and wrongs of the whole thing are. But the lady who was killed is the wife of a solicitor who is currently involved in a lawsuit against the Clintons. That's what I haven't confirmed that, but that's... let me just check that out, actually. What was her name? Halia... Just fact check that in the non-BBC way. I know she's Ukrainian. Activism, death, legacy, career, early life, career. Anything about her personal life? Oh, God, sure. Halia Hutchins, husband. Oh, here we go. Oh, fact check. I'm not interested in those fact checks. I want the proper... I would like the... I would like to look at the independent sources. Here we go. Who was Halia Hutchins' husband? Matthew. Her husband Matthew Hutchins. They've been married for 16 years. He's an attorney with the Los Angeles firm Latham and Watkins. He graduated from Harvard Law School. I don't say anything about what she's up to, what he's up to. Here we go. The Lawyer Monthly. Here we go. Matt Hutchins joined Latham Watkins. All right, this is not actually talking about what he's... This is a lawyer's magazine, and it's not talking about what his actual lawsuits are. Fact check. Is Halia Hutchins' husband a Hillary Clinton attorney who was indicted in the Russian probe? From what I hear, he's actually involved in a lawsuit against Hillary Clinton, or one of the Clintons, which would mean he'd be one of the body count, or his wife would be one of the body count, wouldn't it? I can't find this out now, but it just sounds like some big cock up. I mean, it just seems weird that you could actually put a live bullet into the gun and they get it mixed up with the blanks. I mean, they were using live ammunition on that particular set because they sometimes shoot at real things, like targets and stuff like that, which are filmed. But somehow a live bullet ended up when they should have loaded a blank. Nihilist Lives Matter being set up for a false flag around Taiwan, straight out of the Gulf of Tonkin playbook. It could be. Do you remember when they had the Facebook outage? I talked about this. There was this massive military build-up, and then that submarine had that collision. Oh, I haven't put it on YouTube, but I've done a gaming video based on that. It's up on my alt-tech sites if you've not seen it. It's called Connecticut Collision. Heidi TTFN, evening loves. How are you, Heidi? How are you? Do you have a nice holiday? What's happening enough now? I've had a big yellow mark saying error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming. I don't know. Yeah, Lisa says, the Baldwin shooting, the victim was the wife of a lawyer who's fighting the Clintons. Yep, that would be very dodgy, wouldn't it? It'd be very convenient, wouldn't it? Right. I'll check out your Facebook page, Lisa, about that. Yeah, I will. TTFN, Andrew Johnson's giving a talk at a friend's house. You'll be filming it. Great, Tidy. I know who you mean. Actually, I was invited to that. I can't. Is it tomorrow night? I'm going to a Halloween party tomorrow night. But I was actually invited to that. Obviously, I couldn't go because of this party. It's a bit awkward anyway because Andrew and I have a bit of a history, don't we? It's tomorrow night, Heidi. Right. Well, unfortunately, I'm actually going to a Halloween party. My daughter's Halloween party tomorrow. I'm going to her place to that. She's almost 27 now, so she's reached the age where it's not uncool to have your dad at a party, which is nice. As it happens, I'm quite glad of that because of the timing, because I'd have had to explain to our mutual friends, well, I'm sorry, I can't go along simply because, Andrew and I have had this little tiff. And it'll be a bit awkward, but I really hope you enjoy it, Heidi. It's a purely personal issue between me and Andrew, and you go along, have fun. I'll watch the video if you film it, Heidi. I'll watch the video because you got an interview with Dr. Judy Wood on your channel. Oh right, because I follow you on Odyssey and BitChute. I'll be happy to check that out because I still like Andrew's videos, and I still watch. I haven't changed my mind on any of the factual issues he talks about, just because I don't get on with him anymore. But I hope you have a nice time with everyone else. I know a couple of other people are going along. I hope you all have fun, and I hope to see you at a future event because I know our friends. I know they've invited me back another time, so that'll be nice. Dalai Lapa, good evening. Oh, right here we go. Oh, Lisa, thank you very much. What's this? This is it. Alec Baldwin shooting victim. Yeah, right. Matt Hutchins. Oh, allow all. Where is it? Poor guy. Yeah, he could not immediately be reached for a comment. Are you surprised? He's not. He's not Brendan Cox, is he? I'll have a look through this more later on, Lisa. Okay, but thank you very much for the link. Yeah, he's not available to comment because he's not Brendan Cox. Yeah. It's I was just trying to find that where we get back to, but thank you. Yeah, there's Brendan Cox. I remember when Joe Cox had her little whatever it was. By the way, am I breaking up? I think no one's reported that I'm breaking up. I don't think I'm not breaking up. It's just that I've had a warning message from YouTube. When Joe Cox was whatever happened to her, Brandon Cox, you'd think, they've got like 4 kids, you'd think he'd be at home with them and he wouldn't be able to comment. No, he was going around TV studios all over the place, touring the entire TV network, going on about, oh, love like Joe and things like this, showing no sorrow at all. And Armand mentions Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee was killed, yeah. Also killed on a set. These things happen on movies. I mean, there was an awful situation in the Twilight Zone movie. I don't know if you've ever seen the Twilight Zone, the movie. It's very good. It's like it's an anthology of 4 different Twilight Zone stories into it, and they kind of remade 4 Twilight Zone episodes and put them into a movie. And it's a very good film. It almost got cancelled. On one of the sets, there was an awful situation where 3 cast members were killed in an accident. One of them was Vic Morrow, the famous actor. He was with 2 child actors. Literally, there was a helicopter flying just above them as part of this shot, with a trained pilot and everything. But something went wrong. The helicopter, they lost control, and the helicopter basically crashed on top of them and killed all 3 of them. John Landis ended up in court. He was the director. Apparently, they weren't obeying the law with the child actors. Steven Spielberg was the producer. He was like responsible in at the end of the day. But he and Landis fell out over that. It was a horrible thing. The film was almost cancelled, but it did come out, and it is a good one. But they had to film some of it with a guy wearing a Vic Morrow mask. Yeah. It's Dalalapa says, Andrew Johnson's Dr. Judy book, Where Did the Science Go? Has Andrew got a book called Where Did the Science Go? I know there's a Where Did the Towers Go by Dr. Judy Wood. But is there one called... I've got Andrew's other books. I've got like his book on... He's got several books out. There's The Secrets of the Solar System, and there's... what's that one called? I can't see it from here. Yeah, David Splendid Eye says it seems to be lax safety standards. It could be, David. It could simply be an accident. I mean, not everything is a conspiracy. I know that Alec Baldwin was very anti-Trump. I know he's very pro-gun control. Ironically, I know that this lawyer, the husband of this woman, it may have been a shot. It may have been like to intimidate him. I don't know. Oh, Heidi, I hope you have a good time, Heidi. Heidi's going to go to this event with Andrew Johnson. I'm sorry I can't go. I mean, obviously I couldn't go anyway, even if it hadn't been for this personal issue. Because I'll be at my daughter's house tomorrow night, drinking mead. I'm not going to wear a costume. Hi, Jamnoy72. How are you, soul sister? Oh, thanks, Jamnoy. She's doing very well, Lou. She's doing very well indeed, yeah. Tessa says Kirshner has T-shirts saying guns don't kill people, Alec Baldwin kills people. Oh my god, I don't want to laugh. I've seen a couple of memes going around. I really don't want to laugh. I don't. It's a horrible thing. I mean, Baldwin's actually gutted about it. He's absolutely gutted. I don't know if he's going to even carry on. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think Rust will be cancelled. He's the producer he's the producer as well as the star. I don't think Rust will. He won't continue with his production. But I don't know if we'll have to see what he does with the rest of his career. Oh, we got lots of new comments. Hello, everyone. Where are we? Oh, the video seems fine. That's good. I get these warnings from time to time. Yeah. Bernie Tucker says you do not point a gun at anyone, even if it's unloaded and fire it. Correct, Bernie. A long time ago, I've used a gun just on a shooting range, and Trevor and I were talking about this on the program on the third rail, and he knows a lot about guns. He's actually been a range master at his local gun club. They have a bucket of sand, and you point the gun at the bucket of sand, or you put it in the holster, or you point it down range. Never pointed at anyone. I mean, when I learned to fire a gun, which is a long time ago, only very briefly, they literally said, it's nearly all safety. I mean, shooting the gun's very easy. You just point it and pull the trigger. The danger, most of the training you get is to do with safety. And they just say, just don't point it at anyone. Never point it at anyone. Always unload it. You clear the weapon by unloading it. You point it at the barrel of sand and then unload it. They've got this barrel or bucket of sand. Unload it. Take all the ammunition out and make sure it's out. Check the chamber. Make sure the chamber's empty. Things like that. Yeah. Americans know about this more than we Brits, because they're more familiar with guns than us Brits. I mean, most people actually, unless you've had police or military experience, would probably never even handle a gun. Wouldn't know anything about them. Hello, Andy Young. How you doing? Lisa says there's always a story behind the story with these things. Most of the time, Lisa. Sometimes things just do happen, though. I mean, accidents happen. We got to accept that accidents do happen. But it does seem weird, they had a gun. When you consider the regulations even during a strike, there are regulations with handling firearms on a movie set. Especially when you don't... These are not just like... There's some guns that can't fire live ammo. They're actually designed simply for use in the movies. But these ones did. I mean, they did have some scenes where they were firing live ammo. And they were using the same weapons. Jam Noise, I'll give her a big hug from you. Oh, poor Angel. I hope Angel's doing all right. Jam Noise, I will be doing the dad dance, but only after I've had a few glasses of mead. Diego Vera says the Queen is very ill. Well, yeah, last thing I heard, she was in hospital. I mean, and says she could die soon. Well, she will die soon. I mean, it's inevitable. She's now... How old is she? 95, 96? How old is the Queen? Oh, it's come up straight away. A lot of people must be searching for this. 95 years old. Born 21st of April, 1926. Yes, she is. That's how old she is. And, she's obviously not going to go on forever. Nobody does. Now, the royal family are awfully long-lived. I mean, even by... well, obviously, they're not like the rest of us biologically. But they are very long-lived. Prince Philip, I mean, God knows how old he was. But the news is already preparing for the big day when there's going to be official mourning. Charles is probably polishing his crown, getting ready. He's waited long enough for that, hasn't he? But, yeah, I mean, she's not going to go on forever. If she's not well, we have to expect that any time, really, in the next few years, she could fall off the perch. Dalolapa, God bless her majesty. Jam Noise. Ben was a raver like me. I still am, Jam Noise. I still am. Oh, Heidi TTFN says the Judy Wood interview is with Joanne. It's called 9/11. Was it an energy weapon with Dr. Judy Wood? If anyone wants to copy and paste it. Is it... you don't use YouTube anymore, do you, Heidi? I think you do everything on Odyssey. Or do you still have your YouTube channel? I don't know if you still do. I'll just have a look. No, I think... Are you off YouTube now? Oh, no, here you are. No, you're still... Oh, yeah, you're still here. Right, you are, Heidi. Well, I'll check you out on any of your channels. I'll check that out later on. I really appreciate you filming Andrew's talk, because I mean, I'm not going to be bitchy about it, Heidi. He's still a very interesting guy, and I appreciate what he does, and I will be, even though I can't sit in the same room as him anymore, I'm still happy to watch his videos. David, I've seen the actual film, the outtake of where the helicopter crashes on top of those people. You can get it on YouTube. It's not especially graphic. You can't see much. It just comes down on top of this man carrying these two children. He's wading across a river, and it's very sad though. It's very, very sad. They were both killed. All three were killed instantly. Oh, where are we now? Let's see. Neil, I will see. Someone will film me doing the dad dance. They will, definitely. And we've got someone new here. Was it Jay? I've fallen behind with the comments. Jay Boss the Don. Hello, how are you? I'm going to have to scroll forward, actually. I'm sorry about that. I have to skip through some of these comments. I've got 51 views, loads of comments. Thank you very much for all of you for commenting. I appreciate that. I can't answer all comments, sorry. But Jam Noise says, please record your dad dance, soul brother. I will do my best. I really do. Heidi says the Queen Reptile will officially die on Halloween. Ah! That's interesting, isn't it, Heidi? Did you think that they will, well, when she dies and when she actually is when it's announced she dies are two different things. I mean, they may announce that she's died on Halloween, even if she hasn't, or maybe she died before, and maybe she died last week in hospital, and they've decided they're not going to tell us until Halloween. I mean, it would fit actually if they announced she died on Halloween. It would be very occult. It would be a very occult thing. Tessa says Charles is polishing Camilla's crown. Charles controls the royal family, didn't you know? Yeah. Tidy says Phil was 99. The Queen, and someone else mentions the Queen Mother was 101. Yeah, she may go on. She may linger on for a little bit longer. Nihilist says Meghan will lose her shit if she doesn't become Queen. Oh, Meghan is. I don't know what Meghan's going to do. Meghan seems to quite enjoy the massive hoo-ha that broke out with the Queen and everything. Oh, here's another comment, says Jam Noise. Thank you. I've just skipped through some of these comments. I'm sorry. Where are we now? There's so many comments. Meg can't be Queen, Jam Noise. No, she actually... she's married to Harry, who is not in line with the throne. Kate could become Queen, because William will one day be king. And he's the next in line after Charles, and then their son, which means Kate could be Queen. She'd be Queen Consort, not the ruling monarch like our current Queen. Oh, Elizabeth II's not my Queen. Boudica is my Queen, as you know. Anyway, was that right? I just want to read you through this. This is very interesting here. COP26, 4 numbers to remember ahead of the climate change summit. There's a picture of let me show you. I'll show you what it is. There's a picture of the old Queenie, the dear old Queen, or the queer old Dean, sitting there. This is her doing her Zoom call with somebody or other. This week has seen a series of hard-hitting reports on climate change, timed for the days before the COP26 summit starts in Glasgow. Of course it is. Of course. Now, this is interesting. They're being asked to promise a more ambitious cuts in greenhouse gas to prevent greater climate change rises. As with the Paris Climate Accord, this is a very special one, apparently. The idea is they're not going to unlike the Kyoto Protocol, they're not setting a target for greenhouse gas emissions. They're saying this is the temperature rise we need to avoid. The amount of greenhouse gases you cut are up to you. You just cut whatever's necessary to prevent this climate change rise, which is very different to the Kyoto Protocol. What they'll say is if the only way to stop the temperatures rising above 2 degrees, according to their false model, is for China to basically destroy all but 20% of its power stations, you destroy all but 20% of China's power stations. Yeah, China's building like 6 new coal-fired power stations a week. China still why do these things never affect China? They're still dumping plastic in the ocean. They're still burning coal. Coal is very cheap in China, which is why they still use steam engines on their railways. Coal is very cheap, so they're burning it. No one's trying to stop them. It's only the West which is being affected. It's only the West which is expected to do this, that, or the other to control their industries. I know what Alex Jones would say. It's the Chi-Coms! Now, number 1, Queen. The one Queen Elizabeth, who announced on Tuesday she would not be attending COP26 in person, her doctors advised her to rest. But the 95-year-old is also an experienced diplomat. Yeah, she's going to address... Apparently, she's going to address... Here we are. The Queen will send a video message to the COP26 conference in Glasgow. The year 2023. This is the year when the world will finally meet its target to give $100 billion to the developing world to help it absorb the impacts of climate change. 3 years behind the original target of 2020. Well, firstly, the developing world would be like the third world, Africa, South America, etc., India. The problem is, this is the problem with foreign aid, which is it's just another form of foreign aid. What's happened with foreign aid is that the the governments, they sign various deals about what to spend the money on, and they don't spend it on that. They instead buy armaments, or they build palaces for themselves, the presidents and the premiers of these various countries, and they buy fast cars and things like that. I mean, the Malawi, one of the poorest countries in the world, is Malawi in southern Africa. It has one of the lowest standards of living in the world, but the president lives in a mansion that costs £255 million to build. I know, oddly enough, it's haunted. Apparently, the Psychic News did a program about it. But this isn't one of the poorest countries. That's what they're spending their foreign aid on. That's what they'll spend this $100 billion on. Oh, it's supposed to be built for shelters for people to run to in storms. Improvement in sea defences and weather forecast. The climate change is one of the most pressing problems, for which there's a reaction and a solution, as David Icke would say. The summit in Glasgow, where change could happen. All our lives will change. Decisions made here impact our jobs, how we heat our homes, what we eat, and how we travel. Look, I'm all in favour of using clean energy. I really am. Wind power, solar power is all very well. It's not good enough. I say let's just declassify all the stuff which they stole from Nikola Tesla in 1941. They've been sitting on that for long enough. Trump's uncle was involved in that. 2.7 degrees is the amount by which global temperatures will rise compared with pre-industrial times. Again, when in pre-industrial times? Because if it's compared with the medieval warm period, we're seeing it's lower, because it was like 3 degrees during the medieval warm period. It's only going to be 2.7 degrees. That's nothing. When the temperature was 3 degrees, we were building cathedrals and growing wine, and all those big cathedrals were built during the medieval warm period. Yeah. By the way, what's that thing Lisa told me about? There's a very interesting documentary about it's the hidden history of the world by Eranon. Lisa told me about it. Now it's sort of told from the flat Earth perspective, but even if I don't believe in the flat Earth, but it's still very, very interesting. You don't have to believe in it. It actually contains a lot of information which you should find interesting, whether you believe the flat Earth thing or not. Very interesting indeed. But it talks about, I mentioned the cathedrals built during the medieval warm period. It talks about how history's been hidden from us. 413.2 parts per million. Oh, this is this is like the world is not on track to limiting warming to 1.5 degrees. And there's this graph here which says we're way off track. We've got to go all the way down there. We need more taxes. We need more regulation. We need more deindustrialization. We need fewer people. I'm sure they're saying that, let's just face it, guys, we really, this would be much easier if we just had fewer people, wouldn't it? Be a lot easier. Oh, you don't need to see that anymore. If we just had fewer people. Is there some way to arrange a slightly smaller population? Do I have to spell it out for you? Alright, guys, where are we now? We have here. I'll just go through some comments here. Obviously, I can't read all of them. There's too many. I'm sorry about that, guys. There's too many comments. Lisa says, I do not consent to the royal family. No, I don't either. They're not legitimate monarchs. They are usurpers. The House of Windsor is part of the Habsburg Illuminati bloodline. They are not the legitimate monarchs of Britain. The last legitimate monarch of Britain was Richard III. Depends on which legal model you frame it. I personally, I really think you have to literally go back to Boudica for the last queen, the proper queen of Britain. So she's the one I call queen anyway, as you know. I have my Boudica moments from time to time. Tessa says China can't be touched. Just ask Hunter Biden. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's always like the West, which is small, has a much smaller population and is far. China really is like major, that really is the principal industrial power on the Earth now. It used to be the United States, it's now China. Tessa, the Queen's having a lie down. Yes, a very long one, and she happens to be having it 6 feet underground. Yes. Diego, it is pre-recorded. The Queen was looking very frail. I won't feel. What will people feel when she goes? I mean, some people will be sad. I mean, I find it hard to grieve for a complete stranger at that age, who just does what everyone does at that age. Hello, Cat Squatch. How do you do? F the Queen. Dello. I love Her Majesty the Queen. She's just so teutonically continental. That's a way of saying a bloody kraut. Yeah. Gott in Himmel! I'd love to get her in a room with Michael Shrimpton. Yeah. Yeah. Michael Shrimpton in a room with Sabine Hossenfelder and the Queen. You can just imagine. Oh, and Klaus Schwab as well. Diego Rivera, Balmoral has a pyramid. Lisa says the people... Oh, what's that? The people that allegedly have these conferences are the ones fucking up the planet. And they know it, yeah. Well, Lisa, exactly. It's all a big... They're trying to scare us. They're literally frightening us into supporting them. They're literally saying, look, you have to support the New World Order or the world's going to die and the polar bears are going to drown. And when you go to the seaside, it'll be 20 feet underwater. That's literally what they're saying. And have you seen The Age of Stupid? I mean, this is just... Let me just play... I'll just play you the beginnings of The Age of Stupid. This is like... The Age of Stupid. Here we go. Right. I'll just find the right place where it properly begins. Oh, here we go. Right. Just watch the first. This is what I mean by scaring people to death. Look. Just watch the beginning. Just look at this. Where is it? Oh, and here we go, right. Let's get to the good bit. Here we go. This is the really scary bit. Look at this. Oh, well, that's it, yeah. I think this is the beginning of this. They're following the emergence of life on Earth. Just look at this. The year is 2055. That's London, but look. Everything's underwater. Ooh, cold. See, the whole city's flooded. Look at that. That's where I used to go skiing, and now it's desert. It's a desert mountain. Las Vegas now covered in desert. Sydney, Australia on fire. And again, look, Sydney Opera House is half flooded. The Taj Mahal destroyed. This beautiful old Mughal palace destroyed. And people starving and dying because of the rising sea levels. The Arctic, no ice. And this is the Omega Man. This is a trope
Welcome
you get.
To the Global Archive, a vast storage structure located 800 kilometers north of Norway.
Yeah, it should be covered in ice. It's not. Now, I think it's enough. You've seen enough of that. Now, just see. This is what I mean by scaring people into supporting the New World Order. This is what I mean. Now, to be honest, like, just imagine you watched that and you believed it. What would you not do to prevent that happening? Imagine if you're a little kid and you see that. I mean, this sort of thing can really fuck up a kid's head. Stephen Molyneux puts it. He describes these so-called climate scientists as it clowns. He says they're like little it clowns, from that film It, just ruining childhoods. Other kids were scared of ice ages. Now kids are scared of global warming, and he gets very angry. Molly, he says, "You're going to ruin another generation of child. Are you going to pause for a moment before you destroy another generation of childhoods?" This sort of thing is horrible. It's horrible to children. It really is. Lisa says the hidden history thing is about the mud floods and them destroying humanity, keeping the buildings and bringing another civilization back into totally false history. It's very interesting, is Lisa. Yeah. Hello, Cat Squatch. How are you? Yeah, they said just kill. That's it. What do we do with all the population? I think that's what you're applying to. Just kill them all. Get rid of the people. Get rid of the people you don't. These extra people, these useless eaters, as they talk about. I've got record on, haven't I? Yeah. The reason I'm recording this as well as streaming it is because just in case it gets yeeted by the algorithms. Did you see Sir Chop video? I've not seen that, Jackie. No. Welsh Ripper. What about a nuke or two? Well, yeah. The Windsors. Yeah, Cat Squatch. I agree. The Windsors are liars. Diego Rivera. Ben Emily Jones is the real King of England. He's the offspring of Boudica. I don't, not exactly Diego Rivera. Funnily enough, there is a hospital porter who claims to be king. I've been following his story. I mean, I'd bow down before him, yeah. Where are we now? Oh, I've lost some comments here. Where are we now? Ferdinand Gollis has put Diane Abbott on the throne for maximum lols. Well, she thinks she already is, doesn't she? I mean, she acts like she's the queen. And she really just thinks she's the centre of the bloody universe, doesn't she? Lisa says, "What if the La Palma thing takes off? What will the world look like?" Well, the world generally won't change, but it'll be devastating to North America. I mean, maybe it may be part of the plan, Lisa. Jam Noise did a video about this, actually. It may be part of the plan. Teresa Walker, I don't support the New World Order. Me neither, Teresa. And this is this thing. Some people can see through this. If you can see through it, it won't scare you. But if it's this Age of Stupid was like a big hit. I mean, it's been on YouTube for ages. No one's tried to take it down, even though it was a commercial production. Fuck the NWO, Jackie. Exactly. Yeah. Fear porn. Exactly. Morsey Moore says, "Fuck me, get your room tidied up, your man. Kick your ass. Your mum will kick your ass when she sees the state of that." Well, luckily my mum's dead and she never lived here. But I have actually, today I did tidy up this area around my computer. I took Dr. Jordan Peterson's advice and I cleaned my room bucko. But I will do the rest of it at some point. But I've got so much stuff, and where do I put it all? That's the problem. Jam Noise says it is fucking the kid's head. I heard a 12-year-old on LBC. I know it's heartbreaking if some kids will actually kill themselves over this. They do. I mean, kids do this sort of thing. What about Greta? I mean, I know people slag Greta off, but Greta's, I know she's 18 now, so she's not a child anymore. But she started many years earlier. She has had her head messed with. It's emotional child abuse what they did to Greta, and it's obvious she's like a bit mentally subnormal. She's got some sort of autism or something, and what they've done to her is horrific. Tessa, Tessa's talking about the film called with Kevin Costner, whose title I can't remember, but it showed the Earth which was completely flooded. Yeah, that's actually Waterworld. Yeah, Waterworld it was called. Like, that's ever going to happen. I mean, that's like something that has never happened. I don't think the world's ever been covered with water, and if it does, that's life. That's what it means to live on this Earth. This Earth is dynamic, and it changes, and sometimes it will do destructive things completely off its own back. It's nothing to do with what we're doing. Well, we do damage to the environment. The thing is, human activity, because we've been living in this Illuminati-occupied world that doesn't allow us the technology to sustain ourselves at the population we have, we're pouring plastic into the oceans, we're eroding topsoil, we're cutting down forests. Who cares about a harmless natural gas that's just plant food? Why people are focused on this natural gas, this plant food, and we're doing so many other terrible things to the planet. No one cares. They're even talking about, let's have nuclear power to save the world from climate change. That's what that twat Mark Linus has been talking about, and that stupid watermelon George Monbiot. I've reviewed there. I actually went to a talk with Mark Linus. I didn't actually call him that to his face. You'll be glad to know. Jam Noise, it's on Odyssey. Oh, YouTube gave you a strike, did they? Right, I'll check you out on there. All the best stuff's on Alt Tech now, Jam Noise, yeah, definitely. Hello, Synth Fox, how are you? What if it really does get to the point of total overpopulation and we haven't learned to slow down growth organically, so a group intervenes? But the thing is, Synth, we're nowhere near the point of overpopulation, Synth Fox. That's the point. We're not. There are roughly 6.9 billion people in the world, but if you put that all together, imagine you put everyone all into one big city with the population of Macau in China. It would be about the size of North Yorkshire. It wouldn't be a very nice place to live, with a city that size in terms of its geographical area. It would fit into North Yorkshire. The world is not overpopulated. It's nowhere even near overpopulated. It's not a question of us learning to slow down growth organically. It's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that we've been forced to live this destructive lifestyle because we have been controlled by this power elite, this Illuminati, who want us to energy rationed. They want poverty. They want to be able to control us. They don't care what it does to us. And now they want some of us out of the way, not because they're concerned with the environment. That's the excuse. They will use concern for the environment as an excuse to get people on board, to get people to say, well, look, I don't actually want to put poisons into this V word, but if we don't do it, the world's going to die from overpopulation. So we have to. It's a dilemma. They want 500 million people in the world. It says so on the Georgia Guidestones. And it's not just them. Other people, the Club of Rome. Someone mentioned the Club of Rome earlier on. All dates back from that. Ferdinand Gollier, you're king, Ben. What's the first thing you would do? Right. Professor Brian Cox, community guidelines. Dessa says Mars. If the Earth overpopulates, Musk has Mars ready for us. There are already bases on Mars. He probably goes there. Oh. Jobby says, how much can you scare people before total apathy and resignation sets in anyway? Well, again, if that happens, if we experience what's known as future shock, which is a state of essentially of mental and cultural paralysis caused by being continuously presented with pessimistic visions of the future. It's called future shock. If that happens, then essentially we are like MK Ultra victims, or who have been, or people who have been made into essentially living robots by trauma-based mind control. Essentially, we're all undergoing trauma-based mind control, and things like that Age of Stupid is a part of it. Diego Vera, Prince Charles will be king. He's the Antichrist. He supports COP26. Diego Vera, wouldn't it be ironic if on the first day of COP26, the Queen croaks and Charles then ascends? He ascends to the throne. He becomes King Charles the whatever on Halloween, on the very first day of COP26. Where are we now? I keep losing some of these things. Cat Squatch says, watch your Jordan Peterson. Nine Slice Man, didn't they find the real heir to the throne in Australia? It wouldn't surprise me. But who knows? I don't know exactly. It depends on your own. It depends on your definition of the law. It depends on how you see the law in terms of the monarchy. Some people are against the monarchy. They want a republic. There's all kinds of different models we could pursue, although I personally think I think a proper monarchy is a good thing. But it would have to be a legitimate monarchy, not Illuminati. So I'd say maybe if we could find out who Boudicca's descendants were, I don't know. We know who Richard III's descendants were because they had to be used in the DNA test when they found his bones. Cat Squatchers, wash your ass, Jordan Peterson. My ass is fine, thank you. Villon Auras, oh God, Villon. Joanna Lumley, oh what the bloody hell is she on? Joanna Lumley, the actress, I actually quite like her in some of her things. She's got an incredibly horny voice. She went on to TV. I've gone off her. I don't fancy her. I've gone off her. Because I did anyway, but because of this, I would anyway. She went on TV saying maybe we should have ration cards. We should have rationing like in World War II to save the climate. Jamroy says Greta is a boy. Look at it. Oh, I don't know. I feel sad for Greta. Whatever he, she, or they, or Zer or Z. I mean, that kid has been. Her brain has been filleted and filled with poison, and she's been put up as a figurehead at her age. Oh, God. So, you see, this is exactly what they want to hear. They want to hear us say, people like Joanna Lumley say, yes, we need to do something to save the planet. Anything. Anything to save. And it is literally, if really you believe the world's going to die, you will accept anything that could stop that will become acceptable. Nothing, no matter how extreme, is off the table. This is the ultimate problem reaction solution. I heard someone's talking about how it could be they won't pursue the C word anymore and they'll stick with this now. I don't know, because they've been using the climate for a long time. The C word kind of took over from that in terms of the use of creating a new world order, but maybe they'll go with this again, you know? Dalai says, Ben, come on, there's never been harmless gas around you. You cheeky bugger. Teresa Walker says, I was told at school 40 years ago East Anglia would be underwater. Oh, yes, Teresa. Have you noticed how the predictions they made a long time ago, what happened to them? Do you remember that guy McPherson? He's a miserable tosser, he is. He's one of these doomers. Guy McPherson believes there's a conspiracy to do with climate change. But what he believes is, he believes that there's the conspiracies. They're all conspiring to not to tell us the truth, which is far worse. The truth about climate change is actually far worse than we've been led to believe. And he actually said, I mean, he's been doing this for years. He said, like in 2005, he said that by 2015 the Arctic ice would be completely gone. Well, it's still there. I was watching a video taken last year of some people who went to the North Pole in an icebreaker, so it's still there. Yeah, I heard. Like I remember distinctly. I can't remember. It was sometime in the 90s. I distinctly saw Tomorrow's World or something on the BBC saying that by the year 2020, the north of England would have the same climate as the south of France. Let's get up on that Geordie Riviera, lads. Yeah. Get on those casinos in South Shields, Bonnie lad. The north of England does not have a climate like the south of France, and it's now 2021. Jago Vera says Boris Johnson says feed humans to the animals. This new model, I mean, there's this guy, he's quite funny actually, called Robert Newman. He's got this thing called Robert Newman's History of Oil, which I do recommend. And it's actually quite a funny, comedy show. But he's really into this kind of climate stuff and this kind of we need some kind of global state of emergency to save the planet. Lisa says we're very, very far from total overpopulation. Exactly. The main problem is all the land is owned by controllers. A few take responsibility for providing for themselves. Yeah, that's it. Cat Squatch, they blame us for using a system they created and make it so hard to escape. I know. Dobby Georgia says we could all fit into Texas. Yeehaw! If all the people had to live in a city the size of Texas, we wouldn't even need like blocks of flats. We could all have a semi-detached house and a garden, and plenty of room for roads in between. The world's not overpopulated. It's the overpopulation is a myth designed. It's a myth which is connected to all this sort of thing. Hello, Louis James. How you doing? Synthox says, thanks for the response. I love your videos, man. Getting me through my work day. Oh, thanks, Synth. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Philon Aura says, I live near Lake and Heath. A guy came when we were at school and told us we would only be in blast range, and they told us that the Ice Age was coming and peak coal and oil, and East Anglia would be a sea. Philon, I was terrible. In my time, it was the nuclear war. I mean, I was bloody terrified of nuclear war when I was a kid. I mean, I think it was because we were coming, when I was at school, when I was old enough to understand, we were sort of coming out of the Cold War. This was just before Gorbachev got in, and we were shown, like, I wouldn't tell you how old I was, but I was much too young to watch it. Threads. Just watch it on YouTube if you've got the stomach for it. It's so depressing. It's an early 1980s dystopian story about a nuclear holocaust. Okay, where are we now? Oh, let's have a look. I think I have to skip through a couple of comments. Sorry, guys. Oh, dear. Michael Brink, hello, how do you do? In 20 years, the Earth's population will be halved due to war, and Europe will be completely wiped out. That's what they got planned, Michael, but it won't be war. I think they've got other ways of doing it, involving certain words beginning with V, which I can't mention. But that's how they plan to do it. But they won't get away with it, though. I really don't get away. Lisa says, I disagree, Ben. No way we need a monarchy. It's all BS. They have ever created chaos. Well, maybe you're right, Lisa. I'll think about that. I will think about that. It could be that's the correct, yeah. Casquatch says, Greta's skin is like rice paper. It is, isn't it? She doesn't look well. How much is she eating? Maybe she's like not eating much because she's so depressed. The thing is, this is what happens with kids. Kids often, like, if a child's not eating enough, or a young person is not eating enough, very often it's because they have a mental problem. Armand says, I've stopped farting in public to lower my carbon arse print. Do you remember that thing about cows farting? Do you remember? They said that farming was bad because cows were farting. And the farting reduces methane hydrates. And methane hydrates, if you think carbon is scary, what about methane hydrates? Oh, they're really scary. They're 10 times, methane hydrate is 10 times as powerful a greenhouse gas as carbon dioxide. And methane hydrates could, if the sea level's temperature rises, then all the methane hydrate which is stored on the seabed in terms of ice, it's all frozen on the seabed, it'll all evaporate and come bubbling up through the sea, and it'll go into the atmosphere, and oh my god. Well, methane hydrate is actually another very common part of the Earth's environment. Methane hydrate is already produced in enormous quantities by life. When something decomposes. So anything that rots produces methane hydrate. The soil continuously emits billions of tons of methane hydrate. And, yes, animal digestion produces methane hydrate. What is methane hydrate? It's farts! And the amount that cows on farms produce, compared to the general emission of methane hydrate anyway from life, is, I think it's tiny. It's a tiny percentage of it all. Cat Squatch. Joanna Bumley is useless, yeah. She is typical of a brainwashed media person who's lived in her ivory tower too long and spent too much time watching Professor Brian Cox. So, yeah. It's Kevin Green, Kevin Green says, shame Joanna Lumley is peddling that crap. She did right by the Gurkhas. Well, yes, she's a charity worker, and because I think her dad was the a colonel in the Gurkhas or something. She's been supporting them. But basically, she is like a blinkered celebrity, basically. To say, oh, we need to bring in rationing. I mean, that's exactly what they want us to say. They want us to say things like that. And if they can get some famous person to say it for everyone else, people will go along. People will listen to her, you see. People will listen to her, and they'll follow her. People who like her and admire her, yeah. Nihilist Lives Matter. If she were so concerned about rationing, she'd go first for the Logan's Run solution. Oh, that's naughty. But it is funny, isn't it, that these people, the people like Bill Gates and others, they keep going on about population reduction, and the fact that they need, because people are consuming so much, we need fewer people. Why don't they ever volunteer to go first? Why don't they set a good example? Why don't Bill Gates... Well, no, it's always other people, isn't it, Bill? But now, Bill Gates is one of the biggest consumers on the planet, but no, it's other people he's talking about. They're the ones who have to be got rid of. Oh, yeah. Tessa says that it's got salines in their vase. Well, the one that Daisy Castro got, it wasn't even a proper syringe. It was one of those joke ones you get where the needle, the fake needle, retracts into the barrel. There's a great video on Rumble that shows that. Now, Daisy Castro what was he saying? Canadians have the right to refuse any medical intervention they like, but if you do, there will be consequences. Hello, pilot. How are you? How do I save the planet? Stop the New World Order. That's simple as that. Simple as that. The planet is only in danger because there's a malevolent force at work. I think it's probably demonic, trying to destroy it, and they're using us to do it. Cat's just shit on your hands and smear it on the wall. Tina, hey, there's a reason you never see Christmas cards with the Thames frozen anymore. It reminds people it was colder back then. Yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of those Christmas scenes you see in cards come from, that era where white Christmas was virtually guaranteed. But I've seen cards and things like that with people skating on the River Thames. And you don't see it now, do you? Because that's pre-industrial levels, Tina, isn't it? It's supposed to be. They don't tell you. They don't talk about these sorts of things. They don't mention, because once you start talking about the Little Ice Age, you have to bring up the medieval warm period. And do you remember that hockey stick hoax, where they in East Anglia, the University of East Anglia, their little, what they call the nature trick, they called it. Let's just make the medieval warm period go away, and then they released that false climate graph which showed the temperature going like that, and then suddenly, it's only when you get to the 20th century does it suddenly go up like that. They called it a hockey stick because that's what it looks like. All right, where are we now? David says Threads on the day after. Yeah, I was going to mention that because at the very same time that Threads came out in Britain, this thing called The Day After came out in the United States, and that's also you can also get that on YouTube, which has virtually the same plot. It's it's set in the United States, but it's about a global nuclear war where basically the entire country is devastated by nuclear bombardment, and the people have to survive in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It's extremely depressing. Tessa says Stephen King wrote it. Oh my God, I couldn't write something like that. I can't write this dystopian stuff. I mean, it's like I was watching a bit of the film The Road the other day, and I couldn't watch it. I had to switch it off. It's so depressing. Jobby Dodger says General Melchett has also turned traitor. Oh, Stephen Fry. That was one of his characters in Blackadder. What's Stephen Fry saying? I know he's a bit of a fool, isn't he, Fry? He used to do this comedy quiz called it was called the QI, And he co-hosted it with that bloke, that Canadian bloke who was in that stupid documentary where Miles was in. They wanted me to be in it, and I refused. Hello, 69 Phuket. How you doing? Hey guys, how you doing? How are we getting on? Charles, I'm talking about the Collins Elite. Oh, right. I never watched all that video. I know it was your mate, Bill. He made a video about the Collins Elite. Yeah. Cat Squatch says Trump is the Pied Piper of... Trump is a good... He's the good guy, mate. He's the good guy, Cat Squatch. Hello, Valkyrie. How are you doing? They'll lie through their teeth. Valkyrie, yes. They do very little, don't they? Dalai Lama says, trust the plan, people. Well, the thing is, a lot of this comes into the 17th letter of the alphabet, which you can't mention on YouTube. But I know a lot of people are saying, well, maybe it wasn't true to begin with. But the plan, you see, the original plan failed. But it's not over yet. I mean, Trump is still there, isn't he? Trump is still around. Okay. I'm just trying to find out. I'm trying to go through all these comments. Hey, Lisa, Charlie, Lisa, does Charlie Freak live in Mexico? You'll know this because I wonder if he's in touch with Max Egan, because Max Egan has gone to Mexico. You know why? Because bloody... what would happen if... What would happen if he stayed in Australia? What would happen if Max Egan stayed in Australia? David says the road is amazing, but very dark and bleak. Oh God, it isn't. It's like Threads and like The Day After. As you point out, David, you were right. Actually, The Day After came out the year before Threads, but I'm sure that's not a coincidence that these two incredibly depressing, incredibly dismal and bleak and pessimistic films came out within 2 years. Literally just a couple of years before Mikhail Gorbachev became Soviet premier and the Cold War was wound down. I think it was planned. The end of the Cold War was planned. In fact, Carol Rosin says that Werner von Braun told her this. Bernie Tucker says Bill Gates has 3 private jets, private ships, as many cars. Bill Gates is a disgraceful individual. He really is. David Schultz mentions climate change in a film called The Arrival. Yeah, now that The Arrival is very interesting because it's about it mentions that climate change is like destroying the Arctic and things like that. Charlie Sheen plays this scientist who's involved in SETI, a bit like Jodie Foster's character in that film by Robert Zemeckis, which I can't remember. And but they find when he finds a signal from alien life. But he also finds out that there are actually aliens on the Earth in disguise. They're actually wearing disguise. What's that about Stephen Fry? It keeps flicking around. This list of comments keeps flicking around, and I can't keep up with it. The Stand by Stephen King. I've not read that or seen it, but yeah, The Arrival is about aliens basically on Earth in disguise. Oh, Jobby says Stephen Fry's on board with the insulators. Oh, dearie me. What a fool. Night night, Tina. Sleep well. Cat Squatch, I know you think the Trump thing is a trap. I don't think it is. I really don't. I've made entire videos about that. Carl says the alphabet letter was a role-playing game that gone out of hand. I don't think so, Charles. I actually did make a video about that when you could actually do this sort of thing on YouTube. But I'll tell you what, if you want to know more about that, the place to go is Hapanmo Voice. There's loads of stuff I write on Hapanmo Voice which is exclusive, and I've made several analyses of that theory because several people have said this. Cat Squatch says, yeah, about Trump. My gut tells me you're not right. Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. Tessa, Trump is the thorn that keeps giving. Yeah, Trump is the one who still fills stadiums, while Joe Biden is sitting around in front of a green screen, dribbling at the camera. I mean, you just look at the viewing figures for his videos on Facebook. He had like 16 people watching one of them. I mean, I've got 55 people watching myself. He had 16 people watching one of his speeches once. Dalai Lama, trust the new plan. Yeah. Welsh Ripper says, Ben, my uncle Peter Tanner is believer of BBC, are the truth tellers. Any word of advice for him? I'm trying my best. Oh, Welsh Ripper, oh, what a nightmare. I mean, I'm afraid I don't know. It's difficult because you can't just like tell people because they just shut their ears up. I mean, I've given up with my dad. I've given up. I've started bullshitting him, but just for my own sake of my own sanity. He will not change his position. He will not listen to me. As for advice, I can't really. Only you know him, Ripper. But you have to let them discover it for themselves. You have to try to say things that will persuade them to discover it for themselves. Getting someone out of that mindset is exactly like in that amazing scene. It's an amazing movie. They Live. Do you know the sunglasses? You put the sunglasses on, you can see the aliens. There's a scene in the middle of it where the main character, Roddy Piper's character, is fighting with his friend. He's got his friend, and there's this scene which goes on for about 6 minutes. It's one of the longest and most violent punch-ups in the history of cinema, apparently. And he just keeps punching. They keep kicking and punching each other, and they're bleeding, and they're, things like that. And they just keep punching and kicking each other continuously. And I thought, what is this scene doing in this otherwise very well-paced movie? And the answer is, in the middle of this punch-up, what is Piper's character doing? He's saying, put on the sunglasses. Put on the sunglasses. Just watch it. Just put these sunglasses on. His friend just keeps punching him. Put on the sunglasses. That scene symbolises the difficulty. Once you put on the sunglasses and you can see the aliens, in other words, it's symbolic for seeing the truth behind the lies, it's the difficulty in getting other people to do it. That's what that scene means. That's why it's long, it's tedious, and it's violent. Good luck, though, Ripper. He may see sense in the end. He might. I mean, I've had some success with my brother porters when I was a porter. Yeah. Lisa, all right. Elisa says that Charlie Freak is not a fan of Max Egan, but does live in Mexico, and he's not a fan of, and you're not either. Okay. Max was shouting at all the men in Oz to stand up and fight. Then he leaves. And also Max is now staying with the dollar vigilante guy, who many say is a total con man. I don't know, Lisa. I mean, you've got to be. If someone doesn't feel right to you, then definitely go with your gut. However, I mean, he may have simply done that just to prevent him going to jail. I mean, I don't. If that is true, then I don't misjudge him for that, because it's like in Australia. It's really gone totally full fash, hasn't it? Okay, let's skip through a few comments here. It's now. I've been good for 2 hours nearly. I might call it in the bed. All right. Charles says, no, Ben, Arrival is the heptapods. Oh, right, it's the Arrival. No, yeah, Charles, both Arrival and the Arrival are about SETI. I know. Arrival, which I think is a much better film, is a much better film, is about the alien. It's basically an alien invasion movie. It's the best alien invasion movie of all. It's a alien invasion movies. There's lots of them. They vary in technical quality and intellectual content, and this scores highly on both levels. The heptapods, these creatures inside these spaceships, come down and they sort of stop just above the ground, and they control gravity inside them. It's a brilliant movie. It's a brilliant movie. Much lower budget than The Arrival, but far, far better. Tessa, Stargate is just so bloody awful. I mean, Stargate is interesting ideas, but it's a bloody awful movie and a bloody awful series. Charles says, I know, Ben. Her Panama voice is why I give you the scripts. Oh, that's it, yeah. Jobby Dodger, Stephen Fry being intelligent must be a conspiracy theory. Oh, dear. I used to respect Stephen Fry. He was in that. He did, in one of his non-comedic roles, he was actually in V for Vendetta. He's very good. LiveSpec says, I need to ask, I was listening to your show with Kaz and Gary, and he mentions some video about Pentuch that has nearly 1 million views. Where is this video? It's on I think it's on a station called LiveSpecs. It's called Paranormal Paradise or something like that. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh no. Pentuch UFO. Alright, here we go. The Welsh Roswell. That's bloody David Clark. Oh, he's talking to the Berwyn Mountains now. Where is it? It's all the stuff about the Berwyn Mountains. I put in Pentuch and I keep getting bloody Berwyn Mountain stuff just because it's in Wales. Why is that? I put in Pentuch and they send me stuff about Berwyn Mountains. The search for UFOs and aliens in Swansea. Oh, right, that's from Wales. That's Emlyn and Mike and Pete and the guys from Sufon. I'm speaking at Sufon, by the way, 6th of January, just to let you know. I'll give you the details soon. I don't believe it. I can't find it. I can't bloody find Pentuch. I'll just try. I can't find the Pentuch incident. Even my own videos used to be like the first hits. I just put in Pentuch and I'm getting a load of... Oh, here we go. Here it is. Tessa, are you listening? Is it... sorry, Lime Specs. The Pentuch Incident Documentary Special is the title. And the channel is called The Paranormal Scholar. It's actually had 893,000 views. So it's getting close to 1 million. So that's it, Lime Specs. Hope you can find it. I'm not going to put links in now. David Splendid, put on his glasses or start eating the trash can. I know, David, yeah. So, Welsh Ripper, please do not threaten your uncle with eating the trash can. All right. Do you notice the way that the insulators, right, the police won't do anything about them? It's what happens is sometimes drivers come out of their car and they drag them out of the way. The police won't do anything about them. It's just the same with BLM. The police wouldn't do anything about BLM. The things which the police allow to go ahead, right? They're the ones which you know are psyops. Lisa says, yes, Ben, this is where we currently are. Put the fucking sunglasses on. Yeah, I know. Oh, Charles says, put the sunglasses on. Was an old LA hooker's trick to see if their client was gay. All right. I don't know how that... You can tell whether someone's gay or not, depending on whether they wear sunglasses. Valkyrie, I don't think the whole UK could switch to solar panels. You really need to get the stuff that Tesla was taken from Tesla and other inventors. We need to get that declassified. It's been developed in secret. It'd be very, very easy. I mean, it'd be very, very easy. You could probably do it within maybe 10 years or so to transform the entire economy to a Tesla energy-based system. It's been developed in secret already. I mean, Andrew Johnson is really one of the primary researchers into this. I'm very glad that Heidi is going to record his talk because I'd like to see it. I really do. I really would. Oh, here we are. David Schultz says, to argue with a person who's renounced reason, the use of reason is like administering medicine to the dead. Oh, it is. Oh, dear. My dad, I mean, I remember I said like a couple of months ago, I was talking to my brother about this, and I said, look, I wish I'd never told my dad what I thought about Brexit, because I used to argue with my dad about Brexit because he was a Ramoner. And the reason is because I kept having these debates with him. I'd win every time. I'd win every damn debate. Easily. He doesn't even understand any of the things he's talking about. at the end of all this, I'd say, well, so you're going to change your mind? He said no. He wouldn't change his position. He lost every debate and he refused to change his position. I've told him I'm back. I told him I'm V-worded. He asked me if I was V-worded. I said yes. He said, have you got your booster yet? I said yes. I can't bang my head against this brick wall over and over again. It's really heartbreaking, especially because he is my dad. It's because he's my dad that it's so painful. If he wasn't, I mean, I have to deal with strangers who do that all the time because he's my dad. Because deep down, subconsciously, I want him to be a hero. It's a natural thing that you want your dad to have positive masculine traits in their personality. You want them to be brave. You want them to be courageous. You want them to be reasonable. As I say, these are masculine ideals, and everyone deep down wants their dad to be like that. And my dad is not. He has many other qualities. I'm very fond of him, but I just can't deal with him. I really can't. Diego Rivera says, mass human sacrifice when the monarch dies was a tradition in the ancient world. Is the Queen's death connected to being mass sacrifice ritual? Well, Diego Rivera, what happened when King George the Sixth died? It was 1936, I believe. Let me just check the dates. Death of King George the Sixth. When and how did he die? Oh no, it was actually King George the Fifth, not the Sixth. The Sixth that's it, King George the Fifth. It's the Queen's uncle, basically. When did he die? How did he die? When did he die? When did King George the Fifth die? George the Fifth, 15th of January 1936. Now, this is the guy. He looks very much like the Russian Tsar, amazingly. They all look the same, don't they, because they're related. Tsar Nicholas II, the last king of Russia, who was killed in the cellar by the Bolsheviks. Finally, the Illuminati will throw its own bloodlines under the bus if they need to for the agenda. They didn't come and rescue him. They'll kill their own if they need to for the agenda. Yeah, 20th of January 1936. He died, and it was just after that. It wasn't long after that we had World War II, was it? 3 years we had World War II. Waterworld was a flop. It was. Funny enough about Kevin Costner, Neil. I think that's another one he directed because he made this big massive movie called Dances with Wolves, which is a huge success. I think he directed, produced, wrote. He just basically made the whole thing and started it. And it was so successful, he then went on to make a load of other epic movies, like there was The Postman and Waterworld. And they actually bombed in the box office. Valkyrie says, is Richard D. Hall still about? Yes, he made a new video, actually, the other day. He had been quiet for a while, but someone says here... Someone said something about... DJ Butu, hello, the shitty blue fleece. Yes. Valkyrie, Andrew Johnson, who was on Rich Planet 2 years ago. He's on Rich Planet all the time, as I've said before. It's very, very few people that Richard will actually even tolerate anymore, and Andrew's is the principal one. Hello, Ronnie Barkey, aren't you? Shocking flood scenes in Dumfries. All right. Hopefully jolt the attendees at the COP26. Well, Ronnie, that's its whole purpose. Checkpoint says only 200 square miles of solar panels will be required to power the whole USA. But how do you maintain them? Checkpoint. Have you seen my video called... it's called The Planet of the Humans. Watch that. Valkyrie, basically free energy. I know what. Yeah, really, we do need to get that stuff declassified. If the Illuminati are letting it happen, then it's not going to work. I mean, this is why they're allowing wind power and solar power, because they know it's not a replacement for fossil fuels. Charles says, "What's more important to you, winning an argument or falling out with a family member?" The latter. There's latter. It's not worth it, Charles. It's really you know it's a cost gain. You got what do I do? How do you win an argument with someone who won't listen to you? And what's the point? Why am I going to? I fall out with them and for nothing. All you can do, I think, is just. In my case, I have chosen basically to bullshit from now on. I actually went to my dad and told him I'd made the whole thing up about leaving, about being a leaver and supporting Brexit. And I know he won't. The thing is, like, he never watches my channel. He takes no interest in anything I do, so I could talk about it quite openly on this channel. He won't ever see this. All right, where are we now? We got 2 hours 10 minutes. I think I'll knock it on the head soon. Just a few more comments here. I'll just go through. Haven't we covered most things, haven't we? Richard sells the shitty blue hats now. You can get your own shitty blue fleece, the Andrew Johnson style, which Andrew doesn't wear anymore, and all the other things. I've actually got a Rich Planet t-shirt somewhere. All right, guys. I think that's just. I'll just go through my notes here. Right, the Glasgow climate change important. Why is it so important? It just talks. We've been through this really. What will be decided at COP26? During the 2 weeks, we expect a flurry of new announcements. Many very technical, including rules needed to implement the Paris Agreement, making a faster switch to electric cars, speeding up the phasing out of nuclear power, cutting down fewer trees. Well, I support the cutting down of fewer trees. Yeah. Are they likely to be sticking points? Climate finance, 100 billion. Oh, wow. I think what I'll do now is, I think I'll come back to this. Maybe do another live stream after the end of, should I do another live stream after the end of COP26 or something? When we'll go over what was decided there. I think maybe that's the thing to do. Anyway, guys, that's it. Just the 2 comments I got on the notice. Thanks for, and Helen Tucker says, sounds good, nice one. And I replied, thanks for listening, glad you like it. And Charles from Project Camelot says, first comment again. Who's in charge, people? That's right. Yeah, Charles keeps getting the first comment in every time, doesn't he? He keeps getting night. Join us on camera for Erica's Halloween live stream. When's that? Because Erica, when is she streaming, Charles? Because I'll check her channel out. But yeah, I do watch her stuff. I was very interested in her videos on Travis Walton. Happy Halloween, Ferdinand Gollier. Happy Soen. Happy Shitey night, my fellow truth seeker, says Dalai Lapa. Great stream, Ben. Thanks, Ronnie. UFO Classified. That's the one, Charles. Yeah, I watched. I was very interested in her videos on Travis Walton. Yeah. See how we're living. Says dads are always right. Well, I am with my daughter, but no nice, David. Thanks, Cat Squatch. Thank you. Don't forget, guys. There'll be another stream on Sunday night, which is Halloween. Woo, or Soen. We're going to put some positive energy into the grid. But do remember, especially if you guys who are not my British viewers. The clock goes back on Saturday night. The clock goes back, so it's an hour earlier. So we're on British summertime at the moment. By Sunday, on Sunday, 2 a.m., we go over to Greenwich Mean Time. So do make sure you check the clocks. I've actually mentioned this in my notice. TK says, what about disclosure? Shut up, TK! Denise Moore, hello. Oh, thanks for joining us, Denise, and watching. Night, you guys. Is the Crafty Nihilist here? I didn't see them. Oh, sorry, Crafty Nihilist. Happy All Hallows. Tessa, that's it. Happy Hallow. I prefer Happy Soen. I mean, Lisa and I have been discussing this. Happy Soen is more positive. I think you can celebrate it positively. Put some good energy into the grid. Night, DJ B2. And night, Ferdinand Gollier. Night, Charles. David's disclosure is coming. Yes, you will hear it. You will hear it from me the moment until it happens. Jobby Dodger, night. Night, Dalai Lapa. It's been a good stream. It's been a bloody good one. Don't believe the hype, guys. I'll be... Good night, Vrillon. I'll tell you what, I'll probably do another one of these after COP26. This will be very interesting, I'm sure. Night, Lisa. Yes, I'll be right with you, okay? I'll be right with you on Messenger. And remember, all these floods you're getting in Scotland right now, where the country where COP26 is happening, they may not be happening by accident. Remember that watch that Disney thing, The Eyes from Outer Space? Yeah. All right then. Night, guys. Take it easy.